Hello, and welcome to another World of UX podcast. I'm your host, Darren Hood. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. Special welcome, as always, to those joining us for the first time. Today, we're going back to the Talk Circuit series, but we're not going that far back in time. Last week, I spoke at the Value UX conference, which was basically hosted out of the UK. Special thanks and a shout out to the folks of the Value UX conference team, to Naz and to Dale, to the whole team over there. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Had an absolute blast. It was a great experience and already looking forward to next year. They put a lot of work into that conference and they did a fantastic job. So we're looking forward to next year's event already. I'm going to share my talk from that conference. It was just a week ago, a little less than a week ago, actually. And my topic for that conference was the power of holistic empathy. Now, I'm not going to give anything away. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into it and not delay any further. So enjoy, everybody, the power of holistic empathy from the Value UX conference. See you at the end. So welcome. I hope everybody has been enjoying the conference. My name is Darren Hood. Many of you may know me. Some of you may not. I'm sure that you can see information on my bio page. I'm going to bypass that aspect of what I would normally do in my talks and just jump right into the topic today. And my topic is the power of holistic empathy. Again, the power of holistic empathy. And I like to refer to this as an under the radar strategy to help drive greater value with your UX initiatives. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I like to, when I do talks, I like to level set first, especially this topic really calls for us being level set because there's a lot of different definitions about empathy out there. And when you hear the word empathy, people think about it in different ways. So we want to make sure we're all on the same page before I go forward. So empathy, again, we hear about it, we see it all the time. There's absolutely no shortage of people talking about the topic of empathy. No shortage whatsoever. Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, somebody's talking about empathy. People who operate in spaces where design thinking is elevated. It's the first step in design thinking. Empathizing is huge. It's something that a lot of people are presented with. But are we really on the same page? And are we really tapping into what empathy has to offer? And that's what I'm going to be proposing to you on today. We're going to get into that a bit. So when I level set on a topic, especially when it's somewhat ambiguous and there's a lot of different schools of thought, I like to talk about what it is not. And so the first thing we need to understand about empathy is that it is not sympathy. Please know and understand that sympathy and empathy are two different things. And by definition, sympathy is a feeling of pity or sorrow for the distress of another individual. That's all it is. It's just an emotional response to what someone else is suffering or being subjected to. Stereotypically, empathy is thought of as putting yourself in someone else's shoes. This is usually the definition or the description that someone will hear. And I like to tell people that that's really an oversimplification, and you're going to see why I say that on today. Here's some better definitions that come from a couple different sources. Number one, empathy is defined as the ability to identify with or understand another person's situation or their feelings. So just identification, but I think we can go even further than that, as you'll see. It's defined as the intellectual identification of the thoughts, feelings, or state of another person. Again, common definition. If my memory serves me correctly, this comes from the American Heritage Dictionary, but it really doesn't touch on what we're going to try to get at today. Another one from the American Psychological Association says that it's understanding, empathy is understanding a person from their frame of reference rather than from your own, or vicariously experiencing that person's feelings, perceptions, and thoughts. A little bit closer, still not where we really want to get to, especially when we look at things from a UX perspective. So there are also different types of empathy. And this is another aspect that lets us know we got to go well beyond that surfacey presentation that some people serve up out there. But 3 types of empathy. The first, affective empathy. And this is when it starts to get a little bit closer to what I want to try to illustrate today, because this is talking about how we respond, the ability to respond to other people's emotions appropriately. A little bit more on target because it's looking at action. The second, somatic empathy, the ability to feel, more specifically, relate to what somebody else is feeling, where they are, what their needs are, things of that nature. And then number 3, the third type of empathy, cognitive empathy, the ability to understand someone's response to a situation. And again, we're going to drive even further than this, but this gets us a little bit closer to home when we look at the different types of empathy, something that a lot of people never get subjected to, especially when empathy is presented to us as UX professionals. Here's some sidebars. And again, this will get us a little bit closer to home. What are the benefits of engaging in empathy? As mentioned, it helps us to understand others. Take note of the bold understand there. It optimizes and fosters strong relationships. Empathy helps to connect us as human beings. It helps us to build bonds. It helps us to understand the plights of another person and then to partner with them on that. It also can help reduce attrition. This is something that goes under the radar, especially for UX leaders, because the more a leader empathizes, the better they can drive and build a department that people want to be a part of and that people want to remain a part of. When people are not empathized with, it is highly likely those people are going to seek another place to go and provide for their families, but not in an environment that doesn't have empathy. Empathy is a major part of psychological safety. When it's not there, bad things happen, and it costs the company a lot of money. Another benefit, it paves the way of what's referred to as acculturation, the ability to relate to people based on differences in cultures. All of these from a genuine perspective, if you will. There's some critical skills and traits needed. And I'm reminded something that my current leader said to me the other day. Empathy is something you can't have a recipe for. You have to have the makeup and you have to have the skills in order to accomplish it. It's not just going to happen by osmosis. One critical skill and trait, active listening. You can't just listen. You have to actively listen. You have to truly be engaged and digest what someone else is saying or doing. And secondly, something I advocate for all the time amongst UXers, emotional intelligence. You have to have a high level of self-awareness. You have to be able to navigate your emotions and different things that are going on when it comes to interaction and things that are happening between you and other individuals in order to truly achieve empathy. Empathy is a part of EQ as well. There are some obstacles to engaging in empathy. Cognitive biases. There are at least 125 cognitive biases out there. Anytime a person is operating under the whims or the pulsations, if you will, of a cognitive bias, it is practically impossible to achieve empathy at that point. So we have to be aware of those and navigate those. Emotional intelligence will help us to do that, by the way. Dehumanization, it's like just detaching. We have to be humane in the way that we proceed and the way we engage with people. And when we dehumanize, if we're ever guilty of dehumanizing, failing to be humane in a given situation, empathy will not be afforded to us. And the third obstacle, there are instances where people see what people are experiencing, see how people are feeling, see their challenges, and then sadly, blame the person for their state. And when we engage in, or if and when we engage in victim blaming, then empathy will also escape us. So empathy is not this cut and dry thing that a person just automatically falls into. There's benefits, things we need to get from it, will get from it. There are skills and traits that are needed, and there are some obstacles. If we want to truly engage in real empathy, we have to realize the different moving parts and making sure that we are operating in accordance with them so that we can achieve true empathy and get said benefits. Again, no shortage of people talking about empathy out there and presenting different schools of thought. I'm presenting another one today. So it should be understood at this point, based on what I've said already, as we try to level set, empathy is not a spectator sport. Sympathy is, but empathy is not. If you really want to engage in sympathy, there's some things you're going to have to do. So empathy is all about action. It's all about getting involved. It's all about getting out of the seat of do nothing, as some people would say, and starting to do things that proceed toward a certain goal, a point of achievement. And so we want to make sure that we understand those things. What types of actions? Well, I'm going to highlight 5. I'm going to mention them now, and then we'll come back to them later after we present some other things. First, true empathy is about understanding, as was highlighted earlier. It's about sensitivity. Are you really touched by the things that you see happening with another individual, the things they're feeling, the challenges that they're trying to overcome? Are you sensitive to those things? If you do, it draws you into action. True sensitivity draws you into action, creative action, practical actions. Are you responsive? And how responsive are you to what's going on with somebody else? Are you placing value on what's going on with what that person is trying to accomplish and what they're expressing, what they're feeling? Are you placing value on that, or are you being dismissive? If you're dismissive, then you're not being empathetic. True empathy is about synchronization, really aligning ourselves with what's going on with our users, with other people, making sure to understand to the degree that we're aligning ourselves with them in lockstep, and then proceeding, offering what we have to offer to help them overcome those things. And then demonstration. Are you actually demonstrating it? Can people see it? Is it obvious? Or is it flying under the radar? Is it invisible? A lot of what we do as UX professionals is actually invisible, and good UX is invisible, but good empathy is not invisible. It's something that needs to be seen, something that's going to be known. Traditionally, empathy, as it is presented to us, only focuses on stereotypical users or customers, people who are outside, people who are using our products, using our services, using our solutions, only focuses on empathizing with users. That's what we're taught. That's what everybody says. That's where everybody's mind goes when you talk about empathy. But what about our other users? Are you one of those people? I know some people already realize this. Maybe you didn't describe some of the terminology I'm using today, but some of us have come to the point where we realize I'm not just these external users, the people that come to our website, the people that use our apps, the people that use our different service solutions. Those are not our only users. I've got users inside my organization. I've got people that I service inside of my business, my place of business. They're my users too. And if you're already thinking about that, great. Kudos to you for recognizing that. But we need to formalize this. This is something that we need to embrace, because there's a lot of opportunities that we're missing because we don't. So again, that's it. Some people are already there, but some people are saying, Darren, what other users are you talking about? The red represented here, for those who can see that color, those are our external users, but there's a whole host of other users. So holistic empathy for the win in this point. Holistic empathy is referring to this mindset where we're not just focusing on those users, those external users, but there's a whole host of internal users. Here's a relatively short list: project managers, product owners, product managers, developers, engineers, some companies call them, quality analysts, UX managers, UX directors, the people on your UX team, your team members. Do you really operate in empathy when it comes to these people? They have needs, they have goals, They have concerns. They have commitments. They have responsibilities. They have reputations to uphold. They have mental models. And all of these things are screaming and crying, begging for someone to have empathy for the things that are going on. And it's not just that general business goal. There are a lot of other things that are going on, and our ability and willingness to tap into the understanding, to exercise empathy toward those things. This is an untapped power today in applying empathy, holistic empathy, beyond the norms. It expands UX's impact, and it impacts the value that is placed on us. I mean, we're talking about some major empowerment here when we're talking about holistic empathy, because when you do it, you won't be seen as just somebody who's come to make things pretty, as a lot of us have to deal with on a regular basis. That's not the situation. So I want to present three scenarios, three different scenarios, quick and dirty, really high level. And these are things I've seen, things I've experienced, to try to illustrate how holistic empathy, and you may have done this and maybe didn't call it that, but we're going to coin the phrase here today. Holistic empathy is critical. Here's scenario number one. And with this one, we're just looking at a UX manager. And a lot of us, when we're reporting to somebody, we tend to not think about their needs. We think about reporting to them. We think about responding to them as an authority figure in the workplace. But folks, truth be told, they're a human being. They have needs. They have anxieties. They have challenges. They have places where empathy can come into play. Let's go over this a little bit, and I'll give you the scenario, and then we'll talk about what I call holistic empathy actions at the end of this. So he or she is constantly asked what team members are working on. They have accountability too. They're answering to somebody. They're constantly berated. I know about situations exactly like this. If they don't have answers, they get berated by the people that they report to. Well, that doesn't make things easy or comfortable for them. That causes them to be up at night. And it's important for us that are responding to somebody to empathize with that and to provide solutions, answers, activities, behaviors that help make their lives easy. They feel powerless when this happens, and they're concerned that they're making a bad impression in such cases. They don't feel stable, and they don't feel comfortable. They don't feel safe. People who are managers, they need safe space too. So we want to help provide that for them. How can we empathize with and help them achieve that? Well, we can provide informal status reports throughout the week. We can include updates on any key wins that we have. We can also be quick to inform them about any blockers or any needs before they ask us. Stop responding and being proactive. Being proactive is an empathetic move. It's a strategic move that makes everybody's lives easier. Most importantly, it helps us to demonstrate and exercise holistic empathy with regards to us recognizing the need for this internal user, if you will. Scenario number two, product owners and managers. And we'll get these first items up and then talk about the holistic empathy actions. Second, so there's a department. This is something that actually happened. This actually happened to me. A department sought help from the UX team. They wanted to overhaul their customer service experience. Yes, the work that I was doing extended beyond your standards. We worked on the entire customer service structure. But this team, I recognized they had no knowledge of or experience working with the UX team. And there were people there that were actually hostile to UX because they did not have that knowledge. Well, holistic empathy for the win. What did we do? Instead of taking general info like somebody might normally do, doing stereotypical UX work and assuming that UX had a perceived value, it did not. Matter of fact, there were people on the team that were very hostile. What are you doing here? Why do we need you? We've always done things this way. What do you do? Just completely hostile. Well, I started by launching a relationship management effort. We started with a meet and greet. And after the meet and greet, where we got all our ducks in a row and we identified what was going on, what the needs were, I spent several days with that team to learn about their goals, their needs and their challenges and their departmental and customer pain points. So I recognize and I sort of separated the two different types of users in that case. And I got everything identified, looked at all the data, knew what everybody's pain points were. But most importantly, we built a rapport. And out of that rapport, I was able to empathize with everybody, not just the external users, but everybody. At the end of the day, after synthesizing all the data and I presented recommendations that revolutionized that department's operations. But that happened because of the holistic empathy that was applied. Not just going in and showing designs. That's not enough, folks. That's not who UX is. We have to do more than that. So again, holistic empathy for the win. In this last example, we have the key players here, the developers and the quality assurance analysts. I've seen this several times too. Developers and quality assurance analysts often provided with design deliverables that lack the necessary details to perform their jobs really in an efficient manner. As things stand, the QA team, more specifically, more critically, they were not able to approve what they were reviewing with confidence because they really didn't know what was going on. Well, understanding their needs, understanding their challenges, understanding their pain points, the holistic empathy actions were conduct a walkthrough session at the point of delivery to ensure everybody understood the deliverables, optimizing communication and understanding with that goal in mind. You can provide an annotated or interactive version of the design so they can interact with it and see how things are supposed to function. They know what's going on. The annotations that a lot of people don't even engage in annotations these days, folks, they are invaluable. But by seeing that, people have a point of reference that helps them to understand what's going on with the experience, what they should expect to see. And you can also maintain an open door policy. Hey, you need me for anything? Reach out. I'm here. I'm here, whether it's on Slack, whether it's on Teams, whether it's setting up a quick 15-minute touch base, whatever it is, just popping over the wall. If you're in an environment where you're in person, people can come and see you, tap you on the shoulder, ask you questions. Having that open door policy really helps people feel comfortable. It takes away the us versus them type silos and fences that people set up, makes you approachable, makes you humane, and it helps. And you're demonstrating a lot of holistic empathy when you do that. Bottom line, folks, we owe solid user experiences to people beyond the norm, not just our external users, but the other groups of people, the other team members, as we specified. Engaging in holistic empathy, it helps identify opportunities that if you didn't do it, you would have missed some of these other opportunities. And it escapes us, and we sacrifice wins in the process. We don't want to be those folks today. So all these things said, as we start to come into the home stretch here, a few reminders. The job of the UX professional is to find the sweet spot between user needs, business needs and goals, and any associated constraints. That's what we do. When we apply holistic empathy, in other words, understanding and aligning with the needs, challenges of all your internal stakeholders, as well as your users and customers, will help to fine-tune your approach to your UX work and drive success that benefits everybody involved. And then lastly here, we engage with our business partners, but we don't always empathize with them. It's an afterthought in many cases, or just gets missed completely. We don't want to do that today. And when we do that, we leave a set of tremendous opportunities on the table. When you engage in more deliberate, holistic empathy with internal stakeholders and users, and not just the external ones, you'll find that there's a lot of wins and you become endeared to them. In some UX operations, they're not endeared at all. If you embrace this, you'll start to see things change. That dynamic between you and your internal users, if you will. So all these things said, I want to introduce something I call the wheel of holistic empathy, and you'll get this later. You'll see this later. Think about it. Again, those 5 things I mentioned earlier: understanding, sensitivity, responsiveness, synchronization, demonstration. How well do you understand the needs and mental models of your internal stakeholders? Gauge it, evaluate it, and come up with a strategy for each of these based on the responses, based on what you see to be the case? What's the truth about these situations? How sensitive are you to goals and challenges of your business partners? How well have you demonstrated that? And then plot out strategies to make sure that you optimize that sensitivity. Responsiveness. How well are you responding to your business partner's challenges, goals, constraints, etc.? Synchronization. How attuned and aligned are you to the business side of your UX initiative? And are your business partners fully aware of that? Are you synchronized? Check, gauge it, and make plans to improve on it where you find that you're falling a little short. And then lastly, demonstration. Are you demonstrating proper levels of partnership with internal stakeholders and presenting a strong with them, or what's in it for me, value proposition? When they see that you are in tune with what is in it for them, they will definitely see you as a partner when you demonstrate it, not just talking about it, but when you demonstrate it. So keep this wheel of holistic empathy in mind. Always be on the lookout for improvement opportunities. Are they there? What are they? Engage in ways to make it stick, make it work, make it clear, make it obvious. Lots of wins when we do things like this. So recap, closing notes, folks, very quick and dirty today. Remember, empathy, it's not sympathy. Don't fall into that trap. Thinking of empathy as putting yourself in someone's shoes is a gross oversimplification of what empathy is. I hope that I made that clear today by pointing these things out. It's about understanding, being sensitive to, and applying that understanding and sensitivity to your work. It's translating what you understand into action, and actions that win for everybody. Traditionally, we're taught to empathize with users, but we often fail to accurately identify who our real users are. They're not just external, they are internal as well. Holistic empathy concentrates beyond stereotypical norms, focusing on the needs, goals, and mental models of all of our stakeholders. Very powerful, very different. Holistic empathy also enhances communication, promotes effective teamwork, and energizes and validates overall team operations and your UX team's reputation. That's from Zippia. The folks at Zippia absolutely love that, so I wanted to include that today. They're spot on. And embracing holistic empathy strengthens our what's in it for me demonstration and the value prop that your UX team's operation has. This stuff really empowers folks. And so I hope you got something out of this. I hope I gave you something to think about today. I hope I gave you some things that will help supercharge your personal UX operation as well as the UX operation of your team. So, folks, that's it. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Naresh. All right. We hope you enjoyed that talk on the power of holistic empathy. People talk about empathy, but do they talk about it the same way that we talk about it now? Don't you usually see the same thing I'm seeing here, that empathy is usually restricted to stereotypical users, but there are a lot of people that we could demonstrate empathy for. And when we do it, it impacts UX in a much broader, a more thorough, and a more impactful way than when we just focus on our standard users alone. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I gave you something to think about, and let's get to it, shall we? All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget, as you see, I am sporting the shirt that you see here. The UX UI does not exist statement tee. These are brand new to kaizentees.com. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I enjoy it. And you see UX/UI with the question mark. And then it has words in the background. No such thing, no such thing, no such thing, no such thing, over and over again. Again, just a fun way to get the message out. But this is a very serious message, folks, and I hope people understand that. But go to kaizentees.com. You've got t-shirts, you've got caps, you've got mugs, you got water bottles, you got all types of things there. Just little simple things, and all purchases help us with the work that we're doing here on the podcast, because it does take a little bit of finances to get this work done the right way. So we appreciate those of you who've been supporting us, and those of you who are thinking about it. We appreciate you tremendously. Well, that is all the time we have for today, folks. We're going to go ahead and shut down here Until next time, this is Darren Hood, the host of The World of UX, signing off. And until then, happy UXing, everybody.